Okay, there's a Dangote refinery that's coming up in Ibeju Lekki, and also the existing issues in Lagos. Think sustainably, somebody should be looking at living in Lagos for health reasons. He's a doctor, so this is professional advice you're about to get, and also your own what you personally feel.
Personally, I think Lagos is bad for everybody's health. I feel like half of the problems people coming with in Lagos will be solved if they move out. I know, right? Now, the thing about the Dangote refinery, and I was even going to ask you, people are buying a lot of land and a lot of houses around there. And honestly, in places where things work, residential areas are not supposed to be that close to any factory that produces that kind of toxic industrial waste. And even when there are very strict measures put into place, not in an anyhow country like Nigeria. So it's really, I don't know, because even with refining fuel, no matter how much they try to minimize the risk, I mean, even in places like even in more developed countries, we still have all these issues where industrial waste and in the town they're having all sorts of rare cancers. It's not even in Nigeria that nothing works.
That's what I said, because dangerous. At the end of the day, let's when the multinationals were running these things, Nigerians were still kind of like bribing them to take cut corners to be able to get away with stuff like this. And those people, at least they were, even though they didn't really have our best interest, at least they were concerned about the environment. Now, it's not that Nigerians are the people that own the assets that are running these things.
I'm not hopeful.
Or yours is your case. So, because usually the matter is that a typical Nigerian will keep cutting corners. And this is the same Dangote that his trucks will be killing people, and you just give them 500k, maybe if they even drag too much. He's not training. He has not trained his drivers well. There are issues upon issues. So is this the kind of person that's going to be interested about your health? To me, I just feel like it's just about the money. So wow.
I mean, look at the case of the building collapse in Ikoyi. See how many corners were cut. Even in such an affluent, even for something like an apartment building. Now you now go close to something that
was going for upward of $1 million.
Do you understand? So you now even go to something that already poses a big risk on its own. They're now in Nigeria,
run by Nigerian.
No, that's very dangerous.
It's really not hopeful at all, because and as you mentioned Ikoyi, I feel like this is because it collapsed and we found out.
Exactly.
So if it did not collapse, we would have found out that this thing was happening. So there's a lot more that is happening that we do not even know. And the bad thing about it is that everybody started dissociating from this man, of blessed memory. Now he's dead. People started dissociating both from the governor, even from the presidency. Everybody dissociated from this man, but he was not able to do this alone. There are some people that signed off stuff that he paid, that kind of thing. And so it's when the problem comes that people start dissociating themselves. But there's massive corruption that is happening, and it's so sad that Nigerians are not their brother's keepers, and the money comes first for them. So that is that about Lagos. So what's your final verdict? Port Harcourt versus Lagos.
Okay, honestly, it's hard to decide because problems everywhere, wherever you look. But personally, I feel they both have their pros and cons. For the kind of person I am, I prefer to live in Port Harcourt because the roads are always free. Well, I mean, compared to Lagos, the roads are relatively free. Accommodation is more reasonable in terms of cost. And I mean, when you pay money for something, you know at least what you are getting. You're not getting all these rubbish floods, and it doesn't smell. That smell in Lagos gives me headache. But then Lagos does not have suits. First and foremost, Lagos does not have suits. And then there's obviously access to more recreation in Lagos. But the traffic and the stress, I don't know if it's worth it at all.
At the end of the day,
I don't know if it's worth it. And then also the cost of accommodation is absolutely ridiculous.
I feel like it's based on the data, because of there's an enormous demand for these apartments, and this people are coming, so the price jacks up. But then again, experts say Lagos is a coastal city. Lagos is flanked by both the Atlantic Ocean, and Lagos has a lagoon. Experts say that if care is not taken, because somebody was saying there was a conversation after the Ikoyi incident about Parkview. Parkview was built along an actual water basin. That there's lots of things that happen that people just the same cutting corners. So they say that expert warned that Lagos can actually be submerged, by 2050.
Atlantis, yes.
By 2050. Okay. Well, what the last flooding? What was your experience? The last flooding in Lagos. Some people were still on the road by 2 a.m. because the next day afterward there was like a whole massive traffic. I don't know if you can remember the last.
Which last? You said last flooding as if it's once in a while. Every time
the one that cars were submerged,
I remember that day. It was a Friday. I think that was in June. It was a Friday, and I was supposed to go from Surulere to VI. First of all, when that rain started, I knew that I was not going to go anywhere. I just sat down in my house and I cancelled everything. And people were swimming. So many cars spoiled. So many. It was.
It was some people's residential
houses.
Buildings.
Their things were floating.
Oh my! Do you think Lagosians have a shorter memory? Because it's like people always forget these things when they happen.
We're desensitized to trauma. We've had so much trauma that we're now.
I think normal. So because people always when it happens, people complain, but when you're now seeing the sun every day, you forget,
and then it happens again.
It happens again. It's like you're just blissfully unaware, like it's going to happen again. That sort of thing. So do you think, like as someone that has a scientific background, do you think that that's just a threat, or is something that would likely happen? Lagos be submerged?
Oh, I do think so, because first of all, the drainage in Lagos is very. Think about Port Harcourt now. It rains here. It rained today, and today is Christmas Day. I feel like it rains more in Port Harcourt than it does in Lagos. But you never really see so many. Like, you may see some pockets of flood, but not like you are driving in the water.
Yes,
do you understand?
In
Lagos, just a small shower
everywhere.
Everywhere is flooded. When I school in Luke, so that time, once it rains, if you're outside Luke, that means there's problem for you.
But people always used to say that mainland is better than the island.
So if you know, like, that's the point. So if mainland is better than the island, and mainland is that bad. Imagine what people live in that Lekki are going through. No, it's
and
really
also
bad.
If you now also put in the fact that climate change, we're dealing with climate change, so there's going to be increased flooding, there's going to be increased levels of water, plus the already original problem in Lagos,
Lagos needs a revamp if it's going to survive the next few years, because they keep building and building so-called luxury. It's like putting a crown on decayed tooth, because on decayed teeth, because there's a lot. The foundation is messed up, and then they're just building fine houses on top of it, painting it nicely, So I don't know
if that was to be done. That means we're going to see demolitions of probably multi-trillion or multi-million dollar projects.
But it's not even just about the demolitions. First of all, the waste management in Lagos sucks. So all the drainages are messed up. So when you have all of that, and then they need to start regulating building. They just building everywhere. Building everywhere with no thought as to how the city is going to sustain the building. Do you understand? The infrastructure is too fragile to sustain that. And then another thing is Lagos needs to invest in more advanced methods, especially of transportation. Because if you take part of the cars off the road, you can deal better with all these waterway. If you have trains, shuttles, all of that stuff, you can take some, pressure off the roads.
I'm also amazed that Lekki Expressway is so narrow and is linking so many places together. And then when you have an issue, let's say there's an issue, the car just maybe breaks down. That's the end. That's because it's not supposed to, for an economy like Lagos, that's not supposed to be. I think they were talking about a monorail. By the way, our former governor in Port Harcourt was talking about a monorail, and he said he was going to do a monorail. But that was another white elephant project that politicians used to, loot a lot of money. But if you have something like a monorail, is just like a rail track that is elevated, you know, that's like it solves a lot of problems. It solves
so many problems.
It's actually like reduces the pressure, you know. So next, I want to talk about Nigerians in the diaspora, because a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora reach out to me regularly. A lot of Nigerians in the diaspora, their retirement plan is to come back to Nigeria and settle down, you know, make money there. But even the Femi Osibono of the fatal Ikoyi collapse, he said, you know, London is where he made his money. Nigeria is where he wants to come and enjoy his money.
Yeah.
So, what do you suggest to Nigerians that are coming, you know, especially navigating housing and the location to stay, all of the other vicissitudes of Lagos? Mostly people want to come to Lagos. So what do you advise?
I really wonder why so many people want to come back to Lagos, because I mean, if you've made money and you want to enjoy your money, Lagos is the worst place for you to do that.
So where would you advise if people want to enjoy
personally, I've really started liking Ibadan, because their governor is doing really good work.
Yeah, that is
I mean,
Oyo State,
Oyo State, yes. And Oyo is huge. And I think governor is investing very heavily in infrastructure and his workers. So there is, the road networks are much better. I heard there was one road, I think from Ibadan to Iseyin, and it used to be really bad, but now it's a big, huge, lovely road, and it cuts the traffic in half. And really, you can, if you want to come and party over the weekend, you can just take a train and come down to Lagos. Yes, you can take a train. Train's about 2 hours, 30 minutes to Lagos. So you get from I think it stops at Abeokuta.
Okay.
So I think it's called it starts with M. I can't remember the name, but it's like in the middle of the city, the train station, and then you go to the one in Yaba. You get to Lagos. Do you understand? So if you want to a place to stay under your head.
Come down. Do
you get?
So what is the hospitality honestly like there in Ibadan?
So the thing is, I feel like, because you know it's still a town that, you know, especially that in terms of recreation and hospitality, it's still growing. So you might not have as many as in Lagos, but in terms of, you know, food, good roads, peaceful. I mean, even the air is so clean. Do you understand? The air is so clean.
I should visit Ibadan. I feel like, you know, you don't have to just do things because of other people are doing things. And it's also good to spot somewhere that is growing. You know, you can get a couple of plots there, and as Ibadan grows, you know, you'll be able to plug into that market, you know. So Ibadan, do you have any other?
Well, and then, you know, it's just so unfortunate, all the insecurity going on down in the southeast and south, because Owerri is the place to enjoy yourself normally.
You know, like somebody reached out to me recently, was saying he wants either a house in Lagos or Anambra, because that's like I feel like that's what it used to be before, you know, because like
it's just the insecurity, because honestly these are places that you can you would really I mean hospitality in places like Owerri is a big deal.
And that's what it was before politicians just wanted to try and destroy. I mean, like a few years ago, the person that actually got me into real estate, you know, she was like a former manager in shop before she retired. She was telling my dad, come and buy land in Lagos, you know. I feel like a typical Eastern person doesn't want to invest in Lagos, but I feel like the way it should be is that people go to their hometowns and invest, you know, and get stuff happen in their hometowns, you know. Like, even if you will not necessarily build an industry, but the way Nigeria is, you know, everybody just thinks, Lagos. You can get in Lagos for investment purposes, but people also should think about like their town, you know. And if people can have a more regional mindset and regions develop, I feel like it would be much, you know.
I mean, even Port Harcourt, Asaba, these are places that, I mean, Port Harcourt is a very good place to live. It's just the suit situation. And then Asaba, I'm not too sure what their governor is doing now, because
but I feel like other state governors, they don't incentivize the same way with Lagos. Because when I went to Lagos, I started realizing things like estates work. But here in places like Port Harcourt, it's just ragtag. You just come to a place, everybody just buys or builds a house. Then you're not trying to struggle to have like an association, a community of landlords. So if you want to do a road, These maybe 5 people bring money, the remaining 20 people say they don't have that kind of thing. It's difficult to kind of like have corporate to do stuff. There are only very, very, very few really successful estates in Port Harcourt, and they're very, very expensive. When a place like Lagos, the place I stayed, the GRA, everywhere is tarred. It's fully tarred. There's a waste management system that comes every Tuesday. Things like happen better, work better than here in Port Harcourt. So like if actually Lagos state governors, actually make things easier and infrastructure even better, I feel like people will be able to do some sort of stuff. Because most people that are right now work from home, some people that are even working in the oil companies, oil industry, people are relocating to Lagos. They're working from home. I know at least 2 or 3 people they're working from home. They left Port Harcourt, they got in a house in Lagos, money that should have stayed in the city,
in other parts,
or in the other parts of that sort of thing. So do you have any other thing to say?
No, I think that'll be all. I'm glad to have come on your show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Chiamaka Wanchukwu. Do you have any initiatives or anything close to your heart that you want to talk about, that you're passionate about or they're interested in, so people can go check it out?
Well, I'm still figuring that out. I think I will let you know to promote it when I do. But thank you, everyone. I'm really glad to have come on this.
This is Dr. Chiamaka. And so this is Uche Philip Emoidi. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly kindly drop a comment, kindly subscribe, tell us what you think about this. And if you also want to invest in Nigeria, if you want advisory, just contact us to get started on your journey, and we're going to help you. Thank you so very much for watching. This is still the Ownahome.ng TV show, and we believe that owning a home, owning a property should not make you lose sleep. So we're committed to giving you the very best property recommendations on this real estate. See you at the very next video. Bye-bye.